Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm RM Punk and this is the Punk Wrestling Podcast. Let's go. We're going to talk about Raw today. Once again, very long show, as Raw tends to be. 3 hours feels so much longer when watching Raw right now. It's going to be the least favourite part of my job, is doing these recaps for Raw. However, we will talk about it so you don't have to. Or just find the bits that are worth watching. Which there are a couple bits this week. There were a couple little bits. Edge's promo was great. It was a good match between Riddle and Cedric Alexander. You know, there are a couple little bits here and there that are worth it. But overall, Raw just doesn't have the story. I think that's his biggest problem. 3 hours is one thing and it is always going to make it a bit of a struggle. But for me, the biggest issue is there's no real stories going on. There were several matches tonight for no real reason. And that hurts more than the length of the show, in my opinion anyway. So we'll get started. So yeah, Raw kicks off with Drew McIntyre. He's back after his bout with COVID. He says he's glad to be back. Thanks to the fans for all the support. Was lucky not to be too unwell. He had a bit lost sense of smell. He was feeling fatigued, but he was back in the gym, back working out by day 4, I think he said. It's really nice that they've bringing COVID up, that they're actually discussing it now. They're not pretending it's not happening, which is really good, you know, because they've got a global platform to talk about anything. You know, so many viewers watch their show, and up until now, it was like COVID isn't happening in WWE world. It's just the rest of the world that's fucked. So yeah, Drew says that we can get through it. You know, we will do our bit. He says that he shouldn't overlook Goldberg. That the last thing to go is someone's power, and Goldberg is powerful. You know. He talks about Goldberg being on another streak as such, because every time he comes back and challenges for a title, he wins. But he's going to break that streak come Sunday. He says he wants to start Raw off right. I believe they're doing a face-to-face was the plan with him and Goldberg. But Mrs. Music hits. And that's not starting off Raw right, which is exactly what Drew says. That's not how you start Raw. Miz says that Drew versus Goldberg is like Godzilla versus Kong. You know, that any battle like that ends up with at least one of them, if not both of them, hurt and injured. And then they're going to come in, attack both of them, and cash in the Money in the Bank. Oh, no shocker there. Goldberg comes out. Goldberg's music hits. For once, he's not bleeding, which is a very good start. Nice to see. Hopefully that can continue through to Sunday. Goldberg comes out face to face with Drew. Very quick promo. You, me, Sunday, you're next. Then we get Miz and Morrison, jib jab, jib jab, jib jab. Oh, he's in your personal space, trying to kick off a fight between the two. They, you know, work together for 2 seconds, grab each of them over into the ring, Claymore, spear, and then they go back to their stare down. It was fine, you know, it was okay. It's an opening with Raw. It is what it is. So yeah, next up was a backstage segment with Charlotte being interviewed. She says she always performs under the pressure. She's the queen. Shayna should bring her invisible crown with her, because it's okay to call yourself a queen, but different to actually be one. Now, first things first, they're both nicknames. Neither of them is an actual queen. So I'm not quite sure where that got from. And just to mention Charlotte, Shayna has been the Queen of Spades for many, many years before you was calling yourself the Queen. She's one of the pioneers of MMA. It just seems a little bit silly of a line to put in there. It didn't make sense to me at all. You know, Shayna's also part of the original 4 Horsewomen before WWE did it. But it is what it is. She calls herself Miss WrestleMania. How many nicknames does she need? Conversation goes to Ric Flair and Lacey Evans. Just kind of wants to ignore that, and I wanted to ignore it as well. So next was Shayna versus Charlotte Flair. Nia's at ringside. This was about 30 seconds, I think, before Charlotte puts in figure 8 and Nia leg drops Charlotte for the DQ. Completely pointless. I assume they're doing this no wrestling during breaks again. I think I've heard that. But if that's the case, why start a match a minute before you're due to go to break? Because then you're going to need to do some sort of screwy finish. And the way they did it just made Shayna look weak, that she's in the figure 8 within a minute, and Nia feels the need to step in. Just silly, really. So there's the DQ. Rose and Brooke run down. Lacey then comes out, and they brawl to break. 6-women tag match. So match number 2. We've got the 6-women tag match. The story of this part was Lacey avoiding Charlotte during the match, and there wasn't much to it. Ended with a count out when Shayna doesn't make the count. I assume a botched finish. However, like I said, then doesn't seem to be doing the any wrestling during a break thing again, which means there's an advert coming up and they need to stop the match for a little bit to then start it again. And that's exactly what happens. Because it looked like Shayna might have attacked after the match to get her heat back, but it went to a break. When we come back from the break, there's a little clip of Adam Pearce restarting the match. It is what it is. It was... So now we're match number 3. Yeah. At one point during the match, Lacey's outside the ring. Charlotte's on the floor in the ring. Lacey pulls her out of the ring. Then sort of they realises it's Charlotte and then runs away. I don't know what's going on here. It was what the fuck, really. So at the end of the match, quite a scary spot to end the match. I really didn't like this at all. I am shocked Dana Brooke hasn't got concussion. Apparently she's not injured, which is a miracle in my mind. It looked like she was going for a powerbomb, but only one leg was over the shoulder and the other one was down. So then it sort of went into a sort of a choke slam, but it was straight down, landing on her head pretty hard, and then a leg drop for the pin. So Nia wins the 6-women tag match. So we got let's break this down, 3 matches, all with the same people. Charlotte wins by disqualification. The tag team of Charlotte, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke win by count out, and then Nia Jax, Shayna and Lacey win by pinfall. What a terrible way to start. It was about half an hour into the Raw, and I'm just shaking my head like, I've got to talk about this crap? It was bollocks, quite frankly. Didn't make me look forward to the rest of the show at all. I think I took a bit of a break here. I was like, I need to watch something else for a minute, or do anything for a minute other than watch this. After that, we've got Retribution. Ali is cutting a promo on Kofi. This feels like maybe we're heading to a storyline, which would be good. That, Kofi took everything from him when Kofi replaced him in the Elimination Chamber match and got his WrestleMania moment, won the title, and that should have been him. which you can go with that. Ali's turning chicken shit into chicken salad, as he always does. So we got Woods versus Slapjack next. You know, it feels like standard faction feud. Each member to get to the leader, you know, going through it. However, Woods has lost to Mace and T-Bar so far. What are we doing here? It's okay. Woods won with a really nice Shining Wizard. Slapjack is clearly booked as the weak link to Retribution. What is his purpose? Answers on a postcard. But yeah, really nice Shining Wizard from Woods to win. Woods gets attacked after the bell. Big boot from T-Bar. Then in the ring, a nice double choke slam bomb from Mace and T-Bar. Ali sends Slapjack to go get a chair. Looks like Ali's going to hit Woods over the head with the chair. But he doesn't. He stops, puts the chair down, sits on it, cuts a promo, says Woods is talking about King of the Ring all the time, but you look like a peasant now. Send a message to Kofi that I've heard he's not going to be in the Rumble, but it's okay. A suitable replacement has been made. Mustafa Ali. Which was great. It was a good promo. Again, maybe the storyline will go somewhere, but it is Raw, so expect that to be dropped and forgotten about after the Rumble. After that, we had a couple backstage bits and a video package. Riddles walks into Truth. They talk a bit of gibberish. Truth says about his birthday that Hurt Business are doing a surprise for him. And I switched off from this completely. They just talk utter bollocks. But I think at the end, Riddle was like, oh, surprise. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. There was in a video package that Bad Bunny's performing at the Rumble. I don't know who Bad Bunny is. He's got a music video with Booker T. It's not my thing, but should mention it. So Bad Bunny's at the Rumble. Woo. Next up was VIP Lounge. Interesting moment at the beginning. They're all lined up in their suits. The camera shows MVP, then shows Shelton. Shelton's still got his medical face mask on. I assume he forgot to take it off when leaving Gorilla. Nice little thing, but at least he's wearing a mask when he's out backstage, which is good. They talk about the gauntlet match coming up when the Hurt Business, so Riddle has to face Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and Cedric Alexander. If he beats all of them, runs the gauntlet, then he gets a future title shot. You know, you're like, okay, that could be fun. My early prediction was actually that he wouldn't win the gauntlet, that he would beat Shelton in a nice match, that Cedric's ego would get in the way and that would cause him to win against Cedric, but then MVP would win via shenanigans, probably from Lashley interfering in some way, so Riddle doesn't get his shot yet, and you have to continue fighting to get there in the end. But we'll see what happens at the end, shall we? We'll see what happens with that. Says Riddle was lucky and crafty, so we shouldn't overlook him. Don't forget the task at hand. He then repeats it to just Cedric. Don't forget the task in hand, because Cedric's always losing focus. It's a bit cocky. It's an interesting dynamic. Are they going to defend the Raw Tag Team titles again soon? Is there going to be a feud there? Again, these champions don't have a story at the moment. And many people don't have a story. They're on Raw, but there's no story involved. And that's the biggest problem. So yeah, the whole point of this segment, Bobby had called for a VIP lounge, and they're congratulating themselves, saying MVP is responsible for them being dripped in gold, and they want to share some gold with MVP. They present a necklace, chain, 24 karat gold, THP, the Hurt Business. Yeah. This is where Truth comes out, you know. It's like, okay, well, we already know why he's out because they ruined the surprise as to why he thinks he should be there in the segment earlier. Now, you could have just had him come out without that segment and it would have worked better, in my opinion. But yeah, MVP shouting, "Why are you here? Why are you here? You're not on the list." Truth just sort of cuts a promo. You know, it's my birthday. Why am I not on the list? It's my birthday. Surprise! You know, you've dropped. I heard you saying you got me where are all the 24 carats? And yeah, and he says, "Oh, the chain is for me. It says Truth, happy birthday." Bobby invites him into the ring. But before he does, out come the 24/7 title scene. The jobbers running out, chasing him. They get attacked by Hurt Business. Meanwhile, MVP's in the ring. Riddle comes from behind, hits him with a knee, hit and run. End of the segment. It was fine for what it was. It could be entertaining. It could have been better. But yeah, it was an okay segment. I can't complain. You had Pierce backstage, Truth there pretending to be a statue of a baseball player, because as you do, why wouldn't Truth be hiding, pretending to be a statue? Truth says he wants to prove that he can make it into the Money in the Bank match. AJ Styles and Amos come out, and AJ sort of deciphers what he's saying. So I think he wants to be in the Rumble. I'm happy to test Truth, see if he deserves to be in the Rumble. Bit more gibberish from Truth. Can someone give AJ a story? So his matches have been good, but there's just no story to it. He's had a great match for Ricochet, he had a great match for Drew Gulak. I'm sure the Truth match would be good as well. But what are we doing with AJ at the moment? He's just the bit of good wrestling on the 3-hour show. So, next up was Sheamus versus Morrison. Another match that you're like, yeah, that'll be a good match, with no story attached. There's no reasoning behind it. As far as I could see, they're not talking up Sheamus and Drew's friendship anymore. The thing with him and Keith Lee seems to be done. Miz and Morrison are just comic relief at this point. Or poor comic relief. I think that's what they're meant to be anyway. But yeah, during the match, it was a good match. They always seem to beat the shit out of each other in these matches. The commentary team do talk up sort of their past, that Sheamus beat Morrison to become King of the Ring. Sheamus has won the Rumble a little bit. This is the match where you get most of the, oh, if this happens, he'll be eliminated, where they throw each other over the top rope a few times. This sort of stuff. It's standard Royal Rumble go home stuff. During the match, Morrison focused on a knee after Sheamus goes to the top rope and Morrison drop kicks him in the knee as he's coming down, and that's the focus. Morrison shows some good ground game. Nice to see, you know, he's not just high flying in this one, he does a bit of ground game, which is good. At one point, I have to be honest, I didn't notice it. My girlfriend noticed it. Don't know what that says. Morrison ripped his tights at some point, whether that was during the match, I would assume. But he was wearing red underneath, so it was all good. We're all good with that. Sheamus won with white noise. Didn't pull out the brogue. We then Miz is like, no, and calls out Sheamus for a 2-on-1 handicap match. So we go to break. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is Sheamus face turn confirmed. After what I talked about in the Royal Rumble thing, I like the fact that his character had layers, that he is Drew's friend, but he is still a prick. And I hope he continues to be a prick, even if he's a prick that we love. I don't want him to be just a standard babyface. He should, you know, he loves to fight. Finley style thing. But yeah, I still want him to be a prick. So let's hope. So after the break, we have a 2-on-1 handicap match, and it is a proper 2-on-1 handicap match. No tags. It's just 2-on-1. Still focusing on the knee. This is where they really start referencing over the top rope, as there's several bits where they're Sheamus is throwing one of them over the top rope, or one of them throws Sheamus over the top rope. They're dismantling Sheamus outside the ring. Bit of a comeback. Rolling senton, where he's got one of them on his shoulders, does the rolling senton onto the other one, hits beat of the Baldwin on both of them. Sheamus off the top rope to the floor, a double clothesline. You know, I don't think Sheamus needs to be doing that with his medical issues in the past, but you know, it was all right. It was good. So it looks like he's about to win. Hits a bro kick on Morrison. Miz hits skull crushing finale and wins. It was a good match. Both matches were good, so that's another two and one match because of a commercial break. But yeah, it was good action, but it would have been so much better if there was some sort of story involved in there. Right, so next we have backstage Lacey Evans with Ric Flair. Ric Flair is showing how to get out of a waist lock, doing some different getting out the clinch game techniques, really. You know, bit of training. Charlotte interrupts, tells Lacey to get out. Rick then says, just because she's the big star now doesn't mean there isn't a place in the locker room for him. Charlotte's like, I'm not the bad guy here. Brings up that Rick has always spent his money on anything other than his family. That he's currently going from a legend to a old man, and she's not afraid to tell him that. There's some mumbling there, and Charlotte is walking backwards out of the room, as you do. You know, you never just turn around and look out. Lacey's behind her, hits a woman's right, knocks her out. Perfectly fine. Rick goes to check on her, but Lacey grabs him by the arm, walks him out, talking about, oh, so tell me about the woo. How do we do the woo? What's the pitch? To end the segment. I have no words for this. It's fine for what it is. Charlotte's all over the screen. She's on both shows again. Now she's tag team champion. But she's in about 4 different storylines that don't make any sense. What do you want to do? Right, so after that you had Truth versus AJ. A bit of a hot start. The commentary team, for the first time I remember them mentioning it for a long while, says that AJ is 12-2 since being drafted to Raw. Actually talking win-loss records on Raw. That's a first for me. But, you know, all for that. You know, if you want to talk about it a little bit, doesn't need to go into quite the ranking system that AEW does, but mention that someone is winning a lot of matches is always a good way to sort of keep the momentum going if they're winning. I guess if they're losing, not so much. There's a nice little spot during the match at one point where AJ's like, this is what I'm going to do to 29 other people come Sunday. Grabs Truth, goes to throw him over the ropes. Truth reverses, throws AJ out. There's a little spot with Amos being, you know, scary and big because he's scary and big. So Truth dodges the phenomenal forearm back in the ring, does the 5-knuckle shuffle off a black back suplex, goes for the AA, that's reversed into a calf crusher for the tap and the win. Don't know about you, but Truth looked a little bit slow in the last portion of that match, like he maybe did actually tweak his knee or something, because he wasn't selling that he was injured as such. but he did seem to be taking laboured steps a little bit. So I hope he's all right. You know, he's forever youthful, but, you know, he's not the youngest person in the ring these days. But it was an okay match. Again, a good match, no story. All right, so next up, we had some filler. It looks like it's going to be a recap of Randy Orton's promo before Alexa has her promo. It's pretty much a like-for-like replay of last week's Randy Orton promo, hearing every little bit of it, followed by Alexa Bliss cutting a promo where she recaps what happened to Randy Orton. So we had the same thing, one after another, but with Alexa's, she was in the fake ring you've got out the back stage area, but that had been turned into the playground. That was fine. An old TV which is showing all the recaps that she's then talking about. She's talking to the chair, you know, the swing chair that's also swinging next to her, which is, I assume, would be Bray. Doing a recap, they're laughing, says Randy looks better this way. Says that last week she wanted to have fun in the playground with Asuka, but she didn't play nice. And then recaps the Asuka saying the Fiend's name, because that's not playing nice, apparently. But she didn't play nice either, and then they recap her winning the match last week. And she's like, do you like my trick? You know, he taught me it. Can't wait to see him again. Thank him. Tonight she has the opportunity to win a shiny new toy. And just like last week, I don't feel like playing nice. Sings Ring Around the Roses. Obviously in a creepy manner, because it's a creepy song anyway. And then you hear the Fiend's voice, let me in. Followed quickly by, bro, we've got Matt Riddle coming out. The segue felt odd to me, which is why I put it in my notes. It was quite a quick, let me in, bro, thing. But the promo was okay if we hadn't just watched Randy Orton do the exact same recap, then recapping what Randy Orton had just said. Just too much filler. Not enough killer. Right, so as I said, Riddle was coming out for his gauntlet match. He does his entrance. I don't know about you, why do they have to slow-mo the flip-flop thing? Like, it's not that impressive that he kicks his flip-flops off. They're flip-flops, they come off pretty easily. You just have to go boom, and they're off. It's not impressive, so why slow-mo it like it is as part of his entrance? So we had Riddle versus Shelton off first. As I already said, I predicted that he'd beat Shelton, not Sheldon, completely different characters. That Cedric would probably do something silly to cost himself the match, and MVP I thought would probably win via shenanigans to extend the story. Let's see how that went. So the first match, yeah, Shelton, an okay match, up until Cedric gets involved, goes on the apron to distract the referee. Riddle hits a roll-up on Shelton, but reverses it, but Cedric is back up on the apron before he realises it's been reversed, costing Shelton the match. Exact same spot they did on SmackDown last week in the Riot Squad match. Then Riddle hits a victory roll for the win. MVP's up next. However, Cedric and Shelton are arguing outside. MVP's facing them, trying to talk them down, head in the apron, head in the ropes. Like, stop it, you guys. You know, we've got the match. Bell rings. Obviously doesn't hear the bell. Carries on arguing. Riddle rolls him up, but transitions to a heel hook. Very quick tap. Match over. this is where you've got a gauntlet match. SmackDown have done many gauntlet matches, and Raw has done gauntlet matches in the past, where they pretty much build the show around it. You could easily give this half hour and have long, drawn out, decent matches with each of those guys, because they can all go, and then you don't have to have quite as much filler. But no, let's do a quick roll up into this. Cedric's up next. This is the best match, probably the best match of the night. Really good action. Lots back and forth. Cedric's cocky the whole way through it, and the rest of the Hurt Business are not impressed. Just like, really, what are you doing? Arms in the hands, really. Get it together, you know, stay focused. You know, throughout, MVP's talking to him about the pins, that he's not pinning properly, that he's not hooking the arms, like he's not stopping the shoulders from coming up. And Cedric's like, I know. And MVP's like, yeah, that's your problem. You know too much. So there's constant back and forth and bickering. There was a really nice brainbuster that Cedric hit on Riddle. That gets a 2. Again, MVP so frustrated, kicks the announce table. Says you learn this day one of wrestling. You know, you've got to hook. Riddle wins by a roll up. Good last match. If they're gonna book the matches like that, why not just give Cedric and Riddle 20 minutes and just have one match where they go, you have to beat one of us to face Lashley, and then Cedric, being the cocky, is like, yeah, you've got to beat me, and they argue that way and then have a really good match. The first part of this gauntlet wasn't really a gauntlet. So to end, Riddle's on celebrating, Lashley's music hits, attacks Riddle, Hurt Lock, takes him out. End the segment. So when we were coming back, we had a recap of the greatest match over, with Edge is up next. Nice recap. Really good promo from Edge. Really good. Says 2020 taught us anything is we can't sleep on tomorrow. You have to fight for it every day. Always going forward. Talks about his mum, like when he said he wanted to get in wrestling and she just said, we'll do it. He talks about 10 years ago, after WrestleMania, he woke up in his bed, still reigning champion, but a week later he had to give that up, relinquish the title and retire. Talks, you know, wanting his dream back, wanting his career back, and the fight that he had to go through. And then Backlash comes around and Randy tears his tricep during the match, reminding him that he needed reminding that it can all go away just like that. But you have to fight. His mum would say, just do it. So he's ending the Rumble, getting his title back that he never lost, even though that title doesn't currently exist. But, you know, you get the point. He's coming back for a title. He was the champion. He never lost the title. He should go and fight for it and win. And it was a really good promo. There's not much to say. I feel if there were crowds at the Rumble, that he wouldn't have cut this promo. He would have been a surprise just for the pop. But either way, it's good to see Edge back. Don't know where he fits in the Rumble. Would it, you know, he's a marquee star. Do you have him go win the Rumble and go up against Drew? It's not the story I'd pick, but I'd be happy with it. Let me know what you think. Alright, so last segment of the night. You've got Alexa versus Asuka. I really miss Asuka being an absolute killer. Do you remember NXT when she'd come along and everyone would just turn, Asuka's gonna kill you, Asuka's gonna kill you. And now she's scared and nervous. And if she's not that, she's dancing and laughing and joking, which you can have as a killer. But at the moment, she's just not. She's a third piece to this story. She's not really involved in the story. She's just having matches with Alexa Bliss. But yeah, so Alexa comes out in her happy gimmick. Asuka's nervous. Asuka shows some aggression. Alexa just smiling it all off. Asuka misses a hip attack. Gets kicked out of the ring by Bliss. And then Bliss is on a rocking horse as we go to break, as you do. Back from the break, Bliss was in control. Asuka makes a comeback. Kicks in the corner. Goes to the other corner, assumed to do like a running something. Then you get Bliss's music. And Bliss is now in her Alexa Bliss gimmick, like the old Alexa Bliss gimmick. And she looks scared. She looks worried. She doesn't know what's going on. But she still sidesteps Asuka's attack. The lights go out again. And now it's Fiend Alexa in the crab pose. No sells absolutely everything. Overpowers Asuka to break the Asuka lock into the mandible claw. And behind her is Randy Orton, hits the RKO to close the show. So DQ win for Asuka. There was no ref there at that point. Like, he disappeared in all the disappearances. But, you know, nice show. Orton didn't have his weird luchador mask on this time. Just sunburnt face. So, what did I think as Raw as a whole? So, it was long. There's not enough story. There were some good moments. There always are some good moments. These are very talented people doing what they do best. But the creative just isn't there. If there was just stories attached to these matches, it'd be good. Yes, 3 hours is long. You're always going to get some filler. But showing an entire promo from last week to then recap that promo straight after it is not how you book a 3-hour show. You extend the matches. You add stories into the matches. So you've got promos. You've got backstage segments that make sense. You utilise some of the talent you're not using. Nikki Cross, I saw she cut another promo on her YouTube channel, or on Twitter, I know, where she talks about her getting in the Rumble. And she's like, well, how do I declare? Is the listing catering? Do I have to sign up something? What do I do? She's not been used at all. Now, she could come back and she'd fit well into the Asuka the Alexa storyline. If Alexa does win the title somewhere between now and Mania, you could have her come back as the proper Nikki Cross. Again, another killer that's just been completely destroyed into some random babyface. And you could get things going that way. But yeah, that was Raw. It was another episode of Raw. I look forward to watching something else today. And I look forward to NXT, and I look forward to SmackDown, and I look forward to the Rumble. Let me know what you thought. Please let me know, give me feedback on how I'm doing on this show, on this channel. This is very early days. I am still obviously learning my style, learning my way through it, learning video editing as we go along. I really want to help turn this into something. I want this to grow. So please like the video, share, and if you like my content, subscribe. I hope to be giving you plenty of wrestling content to listen to and watch and enjoy. Thank you and good night.